You need to get okay with looking like a jackass, and you need to get okay with looking like a jackass fast. With anything that's ever blown up, gotten popular, become successful, become lucrative, and made money, look at the fact. Actually, don't look at facts. Go back to the very first rendition, product, video, whatever it may have been, of that venture for whoever it may have been, and you'll realize it was probably an unpolished, rough mock up of a good idea. And they probably had a shitload of stupid ideas to precurse it. You're going to look like an absolute idiot at the start of anything. That's where I'm at right now. I realize that I'm talking out of my ass with most of this stuff, speaking on things that I've only known to pertain to me specifically. I know there's got to be people like me out there though that have been through the same shit. When it came to me diving into dog training, I started my business when I barely knew anything. I worked at a dog daycare. I got bit a lot, and I still wanted to be a dog trainer. He had to pick now to start going, didn't he? I filed my LLC at the ripe age of 21, I think I was, during COVID. And I had no idea what I was doing. I touched base with as many people as I could. I offered my services and basically impersonated Caesar Milan to the best of my ability. That's the best unfiltered way of putting it. And oddly enough, things snowballed, things stuck, and there are things that have carried with me in time. You can't learn without failure. And school systems punish the shit out of failing. They make you feel like absolute garbage if you get anything less than a B, and they make a dunce out of you. When in reality, look at anything you're proficient in. If you say there's nothing you're proficient in, okay, you really need to start living and fucking up even more. Because the fucking up is where the learning happens, and the fucking up is where you actually retain the most valuable information you possibly can. It's like I present dogs with the opportunity to fail when we're teaching certain concepts. And it's because if we don't give the correction at the right time, then they're never going to realize that was unacceptable or that's not what we do. And they're never going to figure out that they need to stray as far from that as they can and lean as much into the positive behavior, which is being rewarded, as possible. With anything you start, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. So you may as well get them all out of the way and start making mistakes as fast as you can. You want to get into the gym and build yourself up? You want to pick some heavy weights up and put them down? Okay. You're probably going to have to deal with a few injuries to learn what you're not supposed to do. You want to go and get more proficient with talking to women? You're really going to make a jackass out of yourself. And as I must as I must shamefully admit, you're probably going to have to make some girls uncomfortable as you're figuring out what the fuck confidence even means. And what it means to be able to just go into a situation and speak the first thing that comes to mind. And then you go through these moments of like trying to be that nice guy or whatever it might be, just being your weird, awkward self. And a lot of times, just breaking the ice is enough to warrant some kind of respect. But you jump into these situations and you have no idea what to say. So don't rehearse. Don't rehearse shit. Just don't. You're going to end up being inauthentic. You're better off going into these situations and being a disorganized mess, presenting that as raw as possible, and then just taking the feedback you receive from it, because there's going to be feedback. You know, like every little thing is going to make itself apparent with how it was received. You do the same thing, not just with relationships or with approaching women in general, with business. Dude, realize what serves you and what doesn't when it comes to financial decisions, when it comes to the way that you're going to run things and structure your programs or your products and your marketing plans or your strategies. You got to make an absolute idiot out of yourself early on. And here's the thing with that, though. You listen to so many interviews or content from so many who have become successful in one regard or another. And sure enough, they talk about as you climb the ladder, you're going to find dumber and dumber people almost. And what that's from is the fact that dumber people have greater confidence. They don't sit there and overthink and try and calculate. Like they spend so much time. It's that idea of a year in the field is worth 10 at the desk. And if you spend your entire life out at the desk, you've got someone going out there making as many mistakes as they possibly can because they just don't know any better. Knowing better and being smarter is one of the stupidest things you can do. I'm a fucking ape. I am an absolute chimp of a human being. The only thing slapping around up here is a pound of grass-fed sirloin. That's about it. But you know what? I took that pound of meat and applied it to everything I possibly could that I cared about. Back to that note. Look at the things you're proficient in, the things you're good at. I don't care, for this example, if it's a video game. If you're good at a video game, it's because you give a shit about it. It's engaging. School is rarely engaging. You wonder why you got D's, but your KD spread is 4.0 on Call of Duty? Because you give more of a shit about Call of Duty. Do shit you give a shit about. You're going to be astounded at the progress you make and how proficient you can become. If you can apply yourself with discipline to something that matters in the least bit, that's going to become just as addictive as video games, and you're going to become a force to be reckoned with. When it comes to dogs, they'll engage in behaviors that are more beneficial than they are consequential. Not just with dogs, any animal. We're always weighing out that scale. I've been fishing a hell of a lot lately, and I've been wondering why bass have been so hard, or why they were a lot harder to catch post spawn with certain lures, like the flashier fish mimic type lures that they wanted just nothing to do with. And I'm like, this should be like a large prey item that they want a lot to do with. What's going on? And I started breaking it down. I started thinking about it and reading into things. And it's like I started nailing big bass middle of the day by throwing out these little, or not even little, like these big ass worms, big ass lazy worms with the wispy tails. Didn't matter if they were what do they call it? The watermelon or that real dark forest green. I don't know my fishing shit. It didn't matter if it was that or if it was like a bright pink. I wanted something that was going to just mimic a big fat worm. And bass started going for it. They started hitting them hard. I'm like, okay, well, why do they care so much about that? Because the risk outweighs the reward. There's no risk. It's basically the fast food of the fish world. A big, fat, juicy worm with no bones to digest. When bass need the extra calcium and minerals and everything else from a larger, bony prey item, It's pre-spawn when they need to stack the nutrition to fuel or to nourish the eggs that are going to build up things made of high protein, high calcium, high minerals, and everything else. They need to build mini bodies or provide the eggs with the fuel to build these mini bodies. I don't know how that reproductive shit works. Just about failed health class. So all I know is what I got. Anyway, with these bass, they don't want some big spiny ass thing that could potentially flee and cost them crucial calories that they need to survive. They want a big fatty boneless snack that's just writhing around on the riverbed floor, and they're going to be like, yep, that's not going to put up a fight, that's not going to take me for a wild goose chase, it's right there in front of me, so we're going to nab it. And they aren't going to start calculating on that until they've been hooked in the mouth. So when it comes to us, I think the hardest part of pushing through on any project, any endeavor, is getting past the point of so many failures and actually reaping your successes. The successes are inevitable, but for especially that earlier portion, you're going to run into two periods. I'm talking about that in a sec. But you need to get past that initial phase of, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and receiving the rewards to outweigh the risks of you looking like an idiot and you having to put in the effort to learn and apply yourself and establish some kind of discipline. And the phases you're going to go through, Alex Hormozy talks about, is that uninformed optimism followed by informed optimism. That uninformed optimism is when you get this great idea, you go in, you check it out, and you see what it has to offer you. And then things are working. You get that initial surge of interest from people who see you putting yourself out there to the world, and it feels like, oh, I just fucking hit the jackpot. Let's go. And then you get through that initial curiosity, and then you really just have to start playing this waiting game and knocking on doors, helping people, actually engaging with people and the community to start getting new leads in, to start selling new products. They aren't just that idea of if you build it, they will come. If you sell it, they'll stay. And you don't sell through some sleazy sales tactics. You sell by recognizing people have a problem that needs to be solved and you offering the solution for a reasonable price that benefits, and you work out a deal that benefits each of you just as much. Oh, don't tell me my geese are going towards the road. I don't need that right now. Nope, we're good. Guys, get out and make as many mistakes as you possibly can. And before you know it, you're going to be an expert. I'm not an expert yet. At least I don't want to call myself one. I know how to do things, and I know how to do things well. But I've worked around seasoned vets in my field, and I know what the real all-stars look like. I'm getting there. I'm not there yet. And I want you guys to be on the way to becoming that. You are what you're becoming. So apply yourself, dive in, and act the role of the expert. Because people buy into confidence, and it leaves you with the pressure to own up to what you are telling them that you are. Like, I've run into countless situations where I had a dog that, like, say I had my skill level was under the level of that dog. It's like being in a fucking video game. Life is so much like these RPG games, it's stupid. And that's why games are so addictive too, is because they'll take the place of real life. very quickly. So, dog's level is here. Dog's a level 51 boss, and I'm a level 48. I gotta make sure I check the bait or check the boxes with that dog and accomplish the goal in order to get to a level 51, get to a level 52. I gotta exceed that boss fight's difficulty. So you got to get challenged, and I'd say it's better to go into it without overthinking. You don't start putting plans together until you've gathered enough data to support any kind of an approach towards a problem. That's all I got. Be okay with looking like a jackass.